Poor girl looking for work walked into the wrong office, became the millionaire CEO's wife. Some mistakes feel like the end of the world, like showing up to the wrong address, doing the wrong chew, carrying a resume that's coffee-stained and already half a lie. You do expect to be noticed on a day like that. Not when you're holding your breath just to get through it. But sometimes the door you weren't supposed to open leads to the one person who wasn't supposed to see you. And in that moment, between panic and laughter, between lies and possibility, you realize this isn't the end of your story. It might be the very beginning, the day she walked into the wrong light. Some morning ago, when Chloe Martin stood outside a building far too shiny for a copy shop. Her heel was bent, her blouse slightly see-through under the wrong lighting, and she tilted her head. Parker Corp. The sign read in gleaming chrome. Her printed job listing had said, Parker Same Noim, same block, close enough, right? So she walked in. The lobby smelled like wealth and lemon polish. Everyone wore black, white, or navy, as if color was banned. Chloe tried not to let her thrift-street blazer squeak too loudly as she approached the desk. The receptionist, expressionless as a granite bust, looked up. Chloe Martins, I'm here for the interview, she added a smile, the kind you wear when you hope no one notices you're bluffing. The woman slid a badge across the desk without blinking. 17th floor, room 7C. No questions, no clarifications. Just that. Chloe exhaled and got into the elevator with 3 men in suits, who all smelled like expensive cologne and silent ambition. She mimicked their posture, adjusted her badge like it was a crown, and tried to ignore the popcorn-level panic popping in her chest. Room 7C was glass-walled and terrifying. An assistant led her inside and told her to wait. That's when he walked in. Nathan Parker. No nom tag, no explanation. Just a man with the kind of presence that makes the air thinner. Tall, tailored, unreadable. He didn't look up from his tablet when he sat down across from her. Nay, Chloe Martin. He glanced at the resume. Rugged Opie shop. Yes, she said. I'm an expert in A4 paper, jammed staplers, and the delicate art of toner replacement. It's a gift. He looked up, eyes sharp. You're in the wrong building. Parker Print is 2 doors down. We're Parker Corp. Chloe paused, blinked once, then straightened her spine and said, Well, I'm very adaptable. You need a secretary? I answer phones like it's Broadway. And I file things. So many things. Also, I once organized a closet and found my grandmother's will. That's initiative, right? He stared. He went and great at coffee. And enthusiasm. I can even dance. Badly, but with confidence. That's underrated. He laughed. It wasn't a big laugh, not even a loud one. But it cracked the steel of the room. You're serious? He asked. Not often, she replied, but I really do need a job. And you haven't stopped listening, so maybe you need someone who's just the right kind of chaos. There was silence. Going out Campiani said. Start tomorrow. Chloe blinked. Subsequently. Office next to mine, just. He walked out. Chloe sat there, stunned. Did that just happen? The elevator ride down felt like returning from an alien abduction. She clutched the badge like it was a ticket to another life. Outside, the city looked exactly the same. But something inside her had changed. The next morning, Chloe woke up 20 minutes before her alarm, which never happened unless her apartment caught fire. She picked the least wrinkled blouse she owned, paired it with pants that didn't require holding her breath to zip, and tried to tame the hopeful panic in her chest. The badge still hung around her neck when she arrived at the building, an unspoken prayer and a punchline all at once. Amanda, the executive assistant with cheekbones like a sculpture and no detectable emotion, met her at the elevator. You're Chloe? That's me, she replied, grinning, the new secretary. Accidentally hired, but ready to cause minimal damage. Amanda led her to a sleek desk outside Nathan's office and handed her a notepad. Your job is to organize his schedule and keep him from forgetting meetings, names, or entire days of the week. Basically keep him from imploding. Like a human planner with Wi-Fi. Amanda didn't smile. But Chloe did. Over the next 2 hours, she managed to accidentally call HR thinking it was housekeeping, spill a cup of water on the onboarding manual, and write a sticky note that said "important" on her own forehead during a phone call. At 11:03 a.m., Nathan stepped out of his office. "Your a.m. Also, I answered 2 calls and only insulted 1 person. Oh, your grandmother. She asked if you'd eaten. I said you were busy pretending to be more friendly than you actually are." He stamped. She laughed. Chloe added, "Oh." Nathan leaned on her desk. "You're insane." "I preferred innovative." He smiled. Leon walked back inside. That night, Chloe stood in her tiny apartment looking at herself in the mirror. She had no idea what she was doing, no idea how long it would last. But for the first time in months, she wasn't scared. Chapter 1. You're high. If Chloe had known her life was about to change, she might have brushed her hair differently, maybe even ironed her blouse. Instead, she was speed-walking up 47th Street in a pair of heels that clicked too loudly and betrayed her with every step. Room 7C. Not Pooker Pre. She hesitated, but the receptionist had already spotted her. "Billy Martins," she answered, instinctively flashing her best job-seeker smile. The woman didn't blink. "Room 7C, take the elevator." That was it. No correction, no "you have the wrong building." Just a badge and a nod. Chloe took it as a sign from the universe. A very shiny, corporate-looking sign. Inside the elevator, she rode up with people in designer suits and $1,000 watches. She mimicked their postures, smoothed the lapels of her thrift-street blazer, and held her breath like it might help her blend in. But when she stepped into room 7C, an assistant with a headset and perfectly symmetrical hair ushered her into a glass-walled conference room. "Wait here. Mr. Parker will see you shortly." "Mr. Parker?" What kind of copy shop had a Mr. Parker? Chloe sat down, adjusted her skirt, and silently coached herself. "Okay, confidence. Eye contact, smile like you know what toner is." She looked out at the skyline. Breathtaking, sharp. She could almost see the edge of the Hudson. It felt a million miles from her world of Craigslist jobs, peanut butter dinners, and late-night walks with no destination. Then the door opened, and in walked the most intimidating man she had ever seen. He didn't look like someone who dealt with jammed printers or bulk paper orders. He looked like someone who didn't smile unless it was tax season and his portfolio had just tripled. He sat across from her, still scrolling through a tablet. "Chloe Matrons." He looked up, eyebrows raised. "New copy shop?" "Yes, Parker Print. That's what I'm here for," she said with a proud nod. "I'm very passionate about A4 paper, rebellious staplers, and the tragic mystery of disappearing ink cartridges." I paused. "I see," he said slowly. "Well, this isn't Parker Print." "Oh. Then, where am I?" "This is Parker Core Global Technology." Chloe froze. "Ah." He watched her for a moment longer, tablet still in hand. Then he said, "The interview here is for an executive secretary." Chloe blinked. "Oh, well, look, I'm very organized. I mean, mostly. I once alphabetized my entire pantry during a breakup. I can answer phones, fake enthusiasm, and I'm an excellent Googler." "Are you serious?" "Absolutely not," she said, smiling. "But I do need a job. And you haven't kicked me out yet. Which means either you're intrigued or mildly entertained." For a second, she thought she saw something flicker in his expression. Maybe amusement, maybe confusion. "You know this is highly unorthodox," he muttered. "I prefer the term professionally flexible." Then something happened. He laughed. Loudly, but enough to change the air in the room. "You're a complete disaster," he said. "I get that a lot. But I'm a functional disaster. I fall, I get back up. I spill coffee, then clean it better than it was before. I adapt. You want coffee? I'll bring it. You want silence? I can hum quietly. You want chaos? I've got it in bulk." He stared at her. His eyes were calculating, curious. You really think you could survive here? He straightened. Try me. Nathan Parker stood. Start tomorrow, 8 a.m. Chloe blinked. Wait, are you serious? Personal secretary, office next to mine. You'll need to be punctual, discreet, and try not to ruin the company in your first week. He opened her mouth, then closed it, opened it again. Wow. Okay, great, I won't let you down. Don't call me Mr. Parker, he added over his shoulder. Just Nathan. And then he was gone. Chloe sat there, badge in hand, unsure if she'd just been hired, hallucinated, or punked. He walked out of the building like she was floating. The sun looked different. The breeze. She had a job. A real job. With a desk and a boss. And a coffee machine that probably wasn't coin-operated. And maybe, just maybe, her life was finally stepping out of survival mode. The next morning, Chloe showed up 15 minutes early, wearing her best not-too-wrinkled blouse and the pants that still fit without praying. She smiled at the same receptionist, who didn't smile back. Good morning, Chloe chirped. First day. Don't worry, I only spilled coffee once today, and it wasn't even mine. The receptionist stared blankly. Elevating. Amanda, assistant from the day before, was waiting. You must be Chloe. That's me, Miracle High, fully caffeinated. Amanda didn't flinch. This way. Chloe followed her down a glass corridor into a sleek office space where even the plants looked like they had job titles. This is your desk. Answer the phone. Keep Mr. Parker on schedule and don't speak unless spoken to. Also, don't schedule any meetings with non-existent employees. Like, say. Amanda didn't blink. Chloe sat down. By 11 a.m. she had accidentally rebooted her computer 3 times, called HR thinking it was IT, and skilled a box of paperclips under Nathan's door. At 11:07 Nathan opened that door. You still in? Chloe stood, still standing. And how's it going? Well, I haven't destroyed the internet. He glanced at the post-it on her forehead. It's my reminder, she explained. I forget what's on screens, but not what's on my face. You really something, Nathan said, folding his arms. I hope that's a good thing. He tilted his head. We'll see.
And then he went back inside. At lunch, Chloe sat in the sleek cafeteria, surrounded by people who looked too tired to eat and too rich to care. She grabbed a tray, pointed at random items, and muttered, "Stress with a side of nervous energy, please." She sat alone until a voice said, "Is this seat taken?"
She looked up to see a young man with kind eyes and a tech badge labeled Edora. Eduardo, you're the one who mistook Parker Court for a print shop, right? Wow, word travels fast. It's all over. And somehow people already like you. Chloe smiled. That's new. Well, welcome to chaos, Eduardo said. He bit into a surprisingly decent sandwich and looked around at her new world. Maybe this wasn't a mistake after all.
Maybe the wrong room had led her right where she was meant to be.
Chloe's second day as a secretary began the same way her first had ended, on the edge of complete disaster. At 7:56 a.m. she stood in front of the Parker Court building, badge swinging around her neck, heart pounding like it was auditioning for a musical. She took a deep breath, straightened her blazer, and whispered to herself, "You've got this, probably." Inside the elevator, the same suited strangers gave her the same unreadable glances. Chloe smiled at one, who immediately looked back down at his phone like she'd just confessed to loving karaoke in traffic. Fake it till you make it, or at least till lunch. The office looked the same, too clean, too cold, too quiet. Amanda, the executive assistant with the personality of an Excel spreadsheet, was already standing by Chloe's desk. "Good morning," Chloe said, cheerful but careful. Amanda handed her a printed binder. "Your task list. Try not to set anything on fire. Only burn through the paperwork," Chloe said with a wink. Let the chaos begin. At 9:17 a.m. Chloe accidentally rebooted her computer for the 4th time. At 9:38 she spilled coffee on the post-it pad, then dried it with another post-it. At 10:02, she called HR thinking it was housekeeping and left a voicemail requesting 2 mops and a life coat. But at 10:25, she hit peak disaster. He scheduled a meeting for someone named Star Counselor, a fictional executive she had misread on a calendar note that actually said start counseling. Amanda caught it almost immediately. "You scheduled a meeting with someone who doesn't exist," she said, deadpan. "I thought it was a visionary title," Chloe said, trying to smile through the panic. "You know, like space therapist or intergalactic HR." Amanda didn't laugh. "This is a global tech company, not a Marvel movie." Chloe bit her lip. "Noted, I'll cancel the Avengers conference." At 11:04, Nathan Parker emerged from his office. He looked impossibly polished for someone who had likely been dealing with million-dollar contracts and global strategy since dawn. His hair was perfect. His watch was quiet luxury. His eyes, well, they flicked to Chloe's desk and narrowed. "You sticking reminders to your forehead again?" he asked. He pointed to the post-it. "Visual strategy. My brain skips emails, but it can't ignore my own face." He leaned on the edge of her desk. "Have you caused any fires?" "Only metaphorical ones. I've emailed the wrong Paul, called the wrong department, and almost ordered sushi for the marketing meeting." He blinked. "You were supposed to order catering." "No. Got the good news." Nathan let out a breath, something that might have been a laugh if you tilted your head and squinted. "You're—" Chloe smiled. "I get things done, just not always the things I meant to do." By lunch, Chloe had earned a victory. She managed to answer 3 calls correctly, reprint the updated investor schedule, and locate the backup toner cabinet, after mistaking it for a broom closet with ambition. She headed down to the cafeteria with a tray of questions running through her head. How long would she survive here? How many mistakes could one person make before being escorted out with a sympathy muffin? She sat at a corner table with a sad sandwich and an even sadder soda. Across the room, the suits buzzed around each other like bees with Bluetooth. No one made eye contact. Until someone did. Eduardo, the same easygoing tech developer from yesterday, walked over and sat beside her like they'd done it 100 times. "You really said Mr. Parker was pretending to be friendly?" he asked, grinning. "Word gets around fast," Chloe groaned. "I thought this place was all code and confidentiality." "Nah, people need something to talk about between algorithm breakdowns." She shook her head, smiling. "Well, I'll probably be fired by Friday." "Good." Chloe raised an eyebrow. "So that's the secret, be a walking sitcom?" "It helps," Eduardo said, "but seriously, people like you. You're not trying to impress anyone. That's refreshing around here." Chloe blushed slightly, distracted by the compliment. "Well, I'm not great at faking things, except confidence. That I fake daily." Back upstairs, Chloe returned to her desk with a renewed sense of school. Maybe I'll survive this. She had a routine now. Take calls, scribble notes, avoid Amanda's judgment stare. At 2:27 p.m. exactly, she placed a cup of coffee on Nathan's desk, without a word. He looked at her. "How did you know?" "Know what?" "To drink coffee at this exact time, every day. I have a system. Emotional pattern recognition. It's spooky." Nathan sipped the coffee, then glanced at the file she'd clipped with rainbow paper clips. "You could occur to my meeting folders." "It's a productivity strategy," Chloe said. "Also, I ran out of the regular ones." At 3:15 p.m. the phone rang. Chloe picked up cheerfully. "Parker Co. This is Chloe, CEO Wrangler and occasional espresso whisperer. How can I help?" Silence. Then a voice. "Chloe, it's Grandma." Chloe sat straighter. "Oh, Mrs. Parker. Tell my grandson I called. And if he hasn't eaten lunch yet, I'm calling CPS for adults." Chloe chuckled. "Understood. I'll let him know." He hung up and jotted a note. "Grandma called. Threat level. Feed him." At 4:00 p.m. Amanda passed by her desk and gave her the faintest nod. "You survived another day. Only lost 1 paperclip and a little dignity. I'd say that's a win." "Mrs. Parker wants to see you," Amanda added. Chloe's eyes widened. "Now, is it bad?" "Depends. Did you insult his mother? No, just his emotional availability. Amanda didn't laugh, but she did look. Chloe stepped into Nathan's office and stood, badge slightly crooked, smile automatic. You wanted to see me? She asked. Nathan didn't look up from his tablet. Yes. Tell me something. Only if it doesn't require math. What exactly do you think a secretary's job is? Chloe thought for a second, then shrugged. Handle what no one else wants. Smile while the world burns. Organize the chaos, answer the phones, and occasionally remind you to breathe. Nathan looked up, folding his hands together. You've had a curious day. Defined curious. Chaotic, clumsy, inefficient, but surprisingly productive. If that's a compliment, I'll take it. If it's a critique, I'll deny it until I retire. Nathan was quiet for a second. You thought this company was a copy shop. You declared war on logic. And yet, Chloe asked, genuinely curious. You've done more in 2 days than 3 trained assistants before you. Chloe blinked. That feels like a compliment. It is, but don't get used to it. He smiled. Too late. My ego has already updated its LinkedIn status. That evening, as she stepped into the elevator, Chloe realized something that made her stomach flutter. She liked being here. Not just because she had a job, but because for the first time in a long time, someone had seen her chaos and didn't ask her to clean it up. Chapter 3. You want me? It was almost 6 p.m., and Chloe was halfway through organizing tomorrow's calendar. Color-coded thank you very much when Amanda appeared at her desk like a very tall thundercloud. Mr. Parker wants to see you, she said, voice flat as copy paper. Chloe glanced at the clock. Now? I thought he left an hour ago. He's still here, and he asked for you, directly. Did he look curious? Looked like himself. Oh yeah. Amanda arched one perfectly sculpted brow. Room's yours. Chloe stood, smoothed her skirt, and walked toward the office that somehow felt both terrifying and familiar. She knocked, then opened the door. Nathan was standing by the window, city lights glowing behind him. He turned slowly, his expression unreadable. You called for me, she said, trying to sound casual. If this is about the rainbow paperclips, I can go back to corporate gray. But honestly, they bring morale. Close the door, he said. That was never a good sign. Chloe Dikuchki Kulukut. Nathan gestured to the chair across from his desk. He did, suddenly aware of how crooked her badge was. I need to talk to you about something outside of work, he began. Chloe blinked. If this is about the email where I accidentally typed goof morning instead of good morning, I swear that was just excitement. It's not that. Oh. He could then. I'm only medium terrified. Nathan folded his hands, fingers steepled. My grandmother called again. Chloe relaxed a little. Ah yes, the legend. The woman who threatened to call Adult Protective Services if you skipped lunch. Nathan didn't smile. I got that vibe. You've been trying to set me up on dates. Arranged ones. Chloe's eyebrows lifted. Ah, the classic meddling matriarch romance plotline. She already scheduled one. For this Friday. With a woman I've never met. Her friend's daughter. Well, Chloe said slowly, if you're about to ask me to impersonate a fortune teller to get out of it, I'm going to need a costume budget. Nathan leaned forward. I want you to pretend to be my girlfriend. The words landed like a file dropped in a silent room. You want me to... What? He didn't blink. Just for a while, long enough to convince her I'm in a serious relationship. If she believes that, she'll stop setting me up. Chloe leaned back. Okay, let me get this straight. You want your assistant, who you met, 4 business days ago, to play your doting, believable, full-time girlfriend in front of your grandmother. Yep, I'm aware. There was a long cinematic pause. Then Chloe asked, why me? Nathan shrugged. You were unpredictable. You'd be hard to fake, so it would look real. Oh, that's flattering. I'm chaos personified, so clearly the best candidate for romantic deception. You made my grandmother laugh on the phone, he said simply. No one's done that in years. Chloe tilted her head. So, this is a save yourself from unarranged dinner situation. Yes, and before you say no, let me offer a few things in return. He folded her arms. This is getting good. You'll get a bonus, flexible hours, guaranteed job security during the length of the agreement. Chloe stared at him. And all I have to do is smile sweetly, gaze longingly, and fake a convincing love story in front of your family? He nodded once. She narrowed her eyes. What if someone asks how we met? We'll make up a story. What if your grandma wants to see pictures, texts, proof? We'll stage some... Chloe exhaled. Nathan, this is either the worst idea you've ever had, or the beginning of a Hallmark movie. Maybe both. She watched him for a long moment, then said slowly, All right, I'll do it. Nathan blinked. Really? But I have 3 conditions. He raised an eyebrow. Go on. But no meetings before 9 a.m. Fake cheerfulness. Well, but before 9, I become a gremlin. He nodded. 2. If someone asks what made me fall for you, I want to say it was your quarterly reports. So moving. So bold. Nathan let out a reluctant laugh. Fine. In public, you have to at least pretend you like me. He blinked. I thought that was the point. I mean with your eyes. Smile with them. Your mouth doesn't have to try. He paused, then gave her the faintest of smirks. Deal. They shook hands, formally, awkwardly, but Chloe didn't let go right away. Just for the record, she said, I've never fake dated a boss before. So, he stood, started for the door, paused. When do we start? Dinner at my grandmother's. Friday night. I'll pick you up. Chloe gave him a cheeky salute. Looking forward to it. As she stepped into the hallway, Amanda looked up from her computer. You look like you just signed a legally questionable agreement. I might have replied, but at least it comes with perks, and possibly cheesecake. Back in her apartment that night, Chloe made a list. Official fake relationship responsibilities. You get caught. You don't fall. Don't say anything weird in front of Grandma. Smile like it's real. Remember it's about. He sighed, then added. 6. Try not to completely lose your mind. Chapter 4. Conditions of a contract girlfriend. By Thursday morning, Chloe had revised her fake dating plan 3 times. She even drew a flowchart which included crucial branches like, if Grandma hugs me, do I hug back? And, is fake flirting taxable? Amanda dropped a calendar update on Chloe's desk with surgical precision. Dinner with Mrs. Parker, tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Chloe nodded, heart kicking. Got it, Operation Fool the Grandma is officially underway. Amanda, as usual, didn't laugh. You'll also be moving into Mr. Parker's penthouse this weekend. Chloe blinked. I'm sorry, what? Living together makes the relationship more believable. Oh, of course. Because when you're pretending to date your boss, cohabitation is the logical next step. Amanda raised an eyebrow. It was Mr. Parker's idea. Of course it was. That night, Nathan sat across from her in the conference room. Sleeves rolled, collar loosened. He looked less like a CEO and more like someone stuck in an emotional PowerPoint. I assume Amanda told you, he said. She did. I have questions. Let's get through the basics first. He slid a printed list across the table. It looked like a project proposal. Chloe read aloud. The rules of engagement. Appear comfortable in public. No contradicting the timeline. No personal questions in front of family. No unauthorized visitors. No falling asleep on my couch. Chloe looked up. Really? Rule 5? I value furniture-bound us. We grabbed a pen and added. 6. No calling me sweetie unless under direct threat from Grandma. 7. Oh, get the left side of the couch. 8. Bathroom schedules are sacred. Nathan raised an eyebrow. Bathroom schedules? I'm not a morning person. I need solitude, caffeine, and at least 5 minutes to remember what year it is. And just so we're clear, she added, this isn't me signing my life away. This is me playing pretend with someone who eats stress for breakfast and hasn't worn sweatpants in public since 2009. Nathan let out a quiet breath that almost resembled a laugh. You're not exactly what I expected. Well, she said, capping her pen, I'm not here to meet expectations. I'm here to keep your grandmother off your case. Friday night arrived faster than Chloe expected. She stood in front of her mirror in a navy blue dress that was the least wrinkled option in her closet. A loose bun, a swipe of lipstick, a prayer. When she stepped outside, Nathan was waiting in a sleek black car. Tailored suit, no tie. Classic understatement. He looked up at her like he was reading a stock chart. Thoughtful, calculating, but not unkind. You look appropriate, he said. She smirked. And you look like a man who has backup conversation topics in alphabetical order. Shall we? They drove in silence until Chloe said, just to be clear, if I mess this up, you'll pretend I didn't? No, but I'll lie to my therapist about it. He laughed, and Nathan smiled. A little. The Parker family home was a portrait of old money, white columns, carefully manicured hedges, and the kind of lighting that made everyone look like a portrait. Idilama Gather opened the door herself, tiny, fierce, wearing pearls and a cranberry shawl. She gave Chloe a hug so firm it felt like a blessing and a threat at once. Finally, she said, a woman next to my grandson. I thought he was going to marry a spreadsheet. Chloe smiled. He still might. But I'm the backup. Gilopi burst into laughter and guided them into the dining room. Over dinner, Chloe answered every question with charm and a dash of ridiculousness. She talked about their first date, where Nathan ordered a salad he hated just to impress her. About his secret love for quiet bookstores and cinnamon rolls. Nathan said very little, but he watched her closely. His usual blank expression was... At one point, Dolores leaned over and whispered, "You're good for him, I can tell." And Chloe... Ochin. On the drive back, the car was quieter than usual. The city passed in slow gold and silver reflections across the windows. Nathan finally said, "You handled that well." There was a hit. He believed. And you? And considering it. Chloe turned her head. You ever pretend so well it feels real? He didn't answer, but he didn't look away either. Saturday morning, Chloe stood in front of Nathan's penthouse with a purple suitcase and a nervous smile. This is either the best deal I've made or the start of a really weird documentary, she said. Nathan opened the door. Just don't redecorate. The place was exactly what she expected. All clean lines, dark woods, walls that had probably never heard laughter. Chloe wheeled her suitcase into the guest room and began unpacking. She added her touch, a hand at throw, a small photo frame, a cactus named Steve. When Nathan passed by, he paused in the doorway. You brought a plant. His emotional support. Let's talk rules, he said. They sat at the dining table with matching mugs, hers floral, his black. No entering my room without knocking, he started. Agreed. And no using my shampoo. It's fancy. No speakerphone in shared space. Fine, but I get control of the TV for rom-coms on Sundays. He gave her a skeptical look. It's part of the healing process, she explained. They shook hands and Chloe felt, just for a second, like they were building something more than rules. That night they watched a comedy show in the living room. Chloe sat cross-legged, laughing out loud. Nathan chuckled once or twice, maybe more. You actually laugh, she said, turning toward him. Which gotcha. You spreadsheets ever justified it? He smiled, eyes crinkling. You're relentless. I'm charming. Later, as they said goodnight, Chloe lingered in the hallway. This is weird, right? Nathan nodded, exceptionally, but also kind of nice. He hesitated. It's all. Chloe laughed. Careful, that's dangerously close to a compliment. That night, Chloe lay in her guest bed, staring at the ceiling. It wasn't real. And yet, for the first time in a long time, she felt strangely safe. Across the hall, Nathan was still awake, reviewing, but every few minutes his eyes drifted toward the closed guest room door. and he wondered for the first time in years what it might be like to let someone stay. Not joy, but in the life. Chapter 5. Dinner with the Dragon. There are two types of dinners, the kind where you leave with leftovers, and the kind where you leave with your entire emotional system rearranged. Friday night with Dolores Parker leaned heavily toward the second. Chloe sat in the passenger seat of Nathan's car, her hands folded tightly over her lap, trying not to wrinkle the navy blue dress she had re-ironed twice, a gift from a thrift store, a silent act of hope. Nathan, behind the wheel, looked exactly the same, as if fake dating wasn't a deviation from the plan, just a bullet point on a weekly agenda. "You okay?" he asked at a red light, not turning his head. "Define okay," Chloe replied, "because if it includes internally screaming and overthinking how to pronounce Billionaires, then I'm nailing it." A flicker of amusement tugged at his mouth. "She likes confidence. Don't oversell, don't undersell, just be you." "Right," she muttered, "because me has such a strong history with traditional family dinners involving inherited crystal and psychological warfare." The Parker residence sat on the edge of the Hudson, elegant and ageless. Ivy climbed its stone walls like time refusing to move on. Chloe took a deep breath before stepping out. Dolores greeted them at the door, wearing a silk shawl and perfume that smelled like memory and power. She wrapped Nathan in a hug that squeezed the tension right out of him. Chloe noticed, then turned to her. "You must be Chloe. And you must be the legend," Chloe said with a warm smile. Dolores grinned. "I like her already. Come in before the duck dries out." The dining room shimmered under a vintage chandelier. Everything was silver, glass, or candlelight. The air smelled of herbs, roasted meat, and old expectations. Nathan pulled out Chloe's chair like he'd been trained to do it, and she thanked him with a smile that was just a little too real. Dinner began with polite conversation. Opera, investments, the New York Philharmonic. Chloe nodded where appropriate, kept her posture polite, and didn't spill a thing. Victory. But it was when Dolores leaned in and asked, "So how did you two meet?" that Chloe felt the real test begin. She glanced at Nathan. He nodded slightly. "You've got this." Chloe smiled. "Wow, he offered me sugar." At the office coffee station, Chloe continued, voice light. "I thought it was too much. He said he liked things bitter. It was the beginning of our first argument, and apparently our first spark." Nathan coughed into his water. Dolores' eyes sparkled. "And your first date?" Chloe didn't miss a beat. "We had terrible sushi. He tried to impress me by pretending he liked sea urchin. I impressed him by not laughing when he nearly choked." Deloitte let out a delighted laugh. About time someone called him out. He was stiff, Chloe said, eyes twinkling, but enduring, like a very expensive statue learning how to blink. Even Nathan smiled. "If to dessert caramel tart with lavender cream." Dolores sipped her wine and looked at Chloe with new seriousness. "You know, I always worried he'd fall for someone." Chloe's throat tightened. Her smile stayed. "I tried." Nathan was quiet, watching, processing. Dolores nodded as if she'd just solved something. "I like her," she said finally, "and believe me, that's not a sentence I say often, not even about Nathan." On the drive back, the silence felt different, not tense, just full. "He likes you," Nathan said finally. He noticed. "I think it was my line about the statue." He gave a quiet chuckle. "You were impressive." He turned toward him. "You mean that?" "I get." The city blurred past them. Lights, people, lives. "Your grandmother," Chloe said softly. "She's warm, sharp, loyal." Nathan nodded. "She raised me after my parents passed. She's why I run this company, and why I keep myself too busy to notice anything else." Chloe studied his profile. "So all this pretending, it's for her. She wants me to find someone, settle down, be happy." "And are you?" The question hung in the air. Nathan didn't answer. Back at the penthouse, Chloe kicked off her heels with a groan, dropping her purse by the door. "That woman," she said, flopping onto the couch. "She could be terrifying in a courtroom." He was, briefly, in the 80s. Chloe laughed. Of course she was. Nathan loosened his tie, rolled his sleeves, sat in the armchair across from her. "You surprised me tonight," he said. "Was it the sea urchin story?" "No. It was how natural you were. Like you belonged at that table." Chloe's smile faltered just slightly. "I don't, you know." He looked up. "I'm not from this world, Nathan. I don't know wine pairings. I don't summer in the Hamptons. I've never worn pearls that didn't belong to someone else." Nathan was quiet. "I just don't want to make a fool of myself, or worse, of you." "You didn't," he said. "You made them believe. You made me believe." Chloe blinked, the air suddenly different. "Thank you," she said quietly. Their eyes met. For a moment the space between them felt thinner, like truth might bridge it. Like if one of them reached out they'd find more than they expected. But then Nathan stood. "I'll see you in the morning." "Right," Chloe said, standing too quickly. "Good night, fake boyfriend." He turned back at the hallway. "Good night, fake girlfriend." That night Chloe couldn't sleep because of nerves, but because something in Nathan's voice had sounded, and that scared her more than any dinner with a dragon ever could. Chapter 6. The Bed and the Borderline. The Parker penthouse had 3 bedrooms, 2 balconies, and precisely 0 soft edges. The furniture gleamed, the rugs lay perfectly in place, and the silence was always immaculate. Which was why Chloe's footsteps sounded so loud as she padded to the kitchen at 107 a.m., barefoot and wide awake. She had tried sleeping. She really had. But something about this place, the quiet, the luxury, the sense that everything had already decided what it was, made her feel out of place, like a loud note in a perfect song. She poured herself a glass of water and leaned against the counter, staring out at the skyline. Below, the city kept moving. Horns, lights, life. Up here, it was still. You can't sleep either?" She turned. Nathan stood in the doorway, barefoot, wearing a gray t-shirt and black pajama pants. No armor, no tie, just him. Chloe smiled softly. "Is it that obvious?" He stepped inside, flicking on a small light under the cabinet. "I usually stay up late. Work habits." "Me too, except I'm not working, just about tonight. About everything." Nathan leaned against the other counter, arms crossed. "Want to talk about it?" Chloe hesitated, then said, "Do you ever feel like you're pretending so hard you forget what's real?" His eyes flickered. "Every day." They stood in silence for a moment, the kind that wasn't awkward but quietly honest. "I used to sleep to noise," she said softly. "A leaky pipe, yelling neighbors, the dog across the alley. I didn't realize how used to it I was until I tried falling asleep in a place where everything's perfect." "This place isn't perfect," he said. Chloe glanced around. "Could have fooled me." Nathan looked down. "It's quiet, yes, but it's also lonely." He looked at him for a long time. "You don't have to live like that, you know." He shrugged. "It's easier." "Not really," she whispered. "It just hurts slower." He started to turn back toward her room. "You don't have to go yet," Nathan said suddenly. Chloe raised an eyebrow. "What are we doing, Nathan?" He stepped closer, not touching, just her hurt that in. He looked at her, eyes tired, voice low. "But I like talking to you." Chloe nodded slowly. "Then we can talk." He moved to the couch. No scripts, no plans. Just 2 people trying not to be so carefully alone. He curled one leg beneath her, sipping tea now. Nathan sat beside her, one arm stretched along the back of the couch, not quite touching her. "Told me something true," she said. He thought for a moment. "I was afraid tonight. Why, you would fit in so well, I'd forget this was pretend." Chloe looked at him. "You didn't forget, did you?" He swallowed. "Tell me another." Nathan exhaled. "You're the first person who's ever made my grandmother laugh at dinner. That's something." Chloe smiled. "She's lovely, and completely terrifying." He smiled too. The quiet beat passed. Then Chloe added, "Your turn to ask." "Okay." He tilted toward her slightly. Why did you really say yes to this? He looked down at her tea. Because I needed the money, and because for once someone looked at me like I might be more than what I've been through. Nathan didn't speak. Chloe didn't look up. Quietly he said, "You are." A moment stretched, Fajao unspoken, sacred. And then Chloe laughed gently, breaking the tension. "You know, I think I forgot how to flirt for real. Yeah, doing well, good, because I think I just signed a verbal contract with your grandmother to have 3 children by next summer." Nathan chuckled. "She moves fast." Fast. I didn't even have time to fake a craving for pickles. He laughed. Real laughter, easy and unguarded. And somewhere in the middle of that moment, the fake began to fray. Later, Chloe stood in the hallway, hesitant. "Good night," she said softly. Nathan nodded. But as she turned the doorknob, he added, "Chloe." He paused. "If you can't sleep, you can knock. You don't have to be alone." Her hand tightened on the doorknob. She didn't turn round. "Thanks," she said. "Same goes for you." And then she slipped inside. But sleep didn't come. At 2:14, Chloe tossed off the covers, paced once, and opened the door. Nathan was standing in the hall. He rubbed the back of his neck. I couldn't sleep either. He looked down the hallway. We could share the couch, just to talk. No expectation. New crossing the pillow border, she added, smiling gently. He nodded, of course. 10 minutes later, they were shoulder to shoulder on the couch, each wrapped in a blanket, staring at the muted skyline. "Told me a childhood story," Chloe whispered. So he did. And then she told him one. And another. And another. They talked until the first light began to spill across the window. Without warming, Chloe leaned against his shoulder. Not because she meant to. Because she couldn't help it. Nathan didn't move. He didn't flinch. He just breathed. Soft, steady. As if for once he didn't need to hold the whole world together. At 6:02 a.m. they were both asleep. On the couch, shoulders touching, walls lowered. And for the first time in a long time, the penthouse didn't feel like a museum. It felt like something maybe even like a home. Verse 7, feelings are not in the agreement. By Monday morning, the apartment smelled faintly of cinnamon toast and uncertainty. Chloe stood at the kitchen counter, hair up in a loose bun, pouring coffee into 2 mismatched mugs. One said, "World's okayest assistant." The other, "Silence is productivity." He smiled when she heard his footsteps behind her. "Coffee?" she asked, holding up the second mug like a peace offering. Nathan took it. Thank. He drank in silence, but it wasn't awkward. It was familiar. That's what scared her. By 9:00 a.m. they were walking into Parker Coop for the first time since the couch. Nathan held the elevator door open for her. Chloe stepped in and adjusted her badge, pretending not to notice the lingering stares from the employees already inside. The air felt different today, like something had shifted between them, but neither of them had quite admitted it yet. As the elevator ascended, Nathan finally said, "Just remember, we have the investor dinner tonight, 7 p.m., formal." Chloe raised an eyebrow. "That's still part of the act." He didn't look at her. "Yet? Then should I wear the fake smile or the real one?" He earned her a glance, and a very small, very real smile. Midday, Chloe was typing up the logistics report when her phone buzzed. Text from Eduardo. "Hey, someone from your past is on 10. Name's Ethan. Said he knows you?" From Ethan Hale. She hadn't seen him in 4 years. High school classmate, kind soul, and the only person who never teased her for bringing grocery bag lunches. He used to say she was the kind of girl people overlooked until she saved your life. Her phone buzzed again. "Ethan, coffee today if you're free. I'm in the building." He asked Amanda for an extended lunch. Amanda nodded once. "Wear your badge, don't get arrested." Chloe smiled, grabbed her coat. Ethan was waiting just outside the coffee bar, taller than she remembered but with the same warm eyes. "Chloe," he said, grinning, "you look grown." "I feel," he implied. She replied with a laugh. They sat down at a corner table with oversized mugs and too many napkins. "Parker Ethan said. Chloe hesitated and Mistea walked into the wrong interview. "That's either incredibly lucky or completely insane." "Possibly both." He watched her for a second. "You happy here?" Chloe blinked. "Well, I don't know. Some days, yeah. Other days, I'm just trying to remember what I'm pretending." Ethan's brow furrowed. "Pretending?" But before she could answer, her phone buzzed again. "Nathan." Just that. No hello, no context, just that familiar clipped tone. He typed back. "Chloe, lunch. Catching up with someone? Be back by 1. Nathan didn't reply. Back upstairs, Chloe found him standing by her desk. "You came back on time," he said, tone neutral. He wasn't planning on defecting to what? Nathan glanced toward the elevator. "Ethan Hale." Chloe nodded. "Old friend." He didn't say anything. She crossed her arms. "Is this part of the contract too? My lunch breaks?" "You could have told me." "I did, but though I went." Nathan looked at her for a long moment, then turned and walked back into his office. The door closed softly. It felt louder than a slam. That night, Chloe wore her most elegant dress. Simple black, hair pulled back, heels she could barely walk in. Nathan was waiting by the door in a navy suit, crisp as ever. They drove in silence. Until Chloe said, "So what's the story tonight? How madly in love am I supposed to be?" Nathan didn't answer right away. Then, "You don't need to pretend. You're her yacht once." Oh, are we dropping the act?" "No," he said quietly. "You're just bull." She turned to look at him. "But he did meet her on ice." The dinner was held at a rooftop restaurant, glittering with city lights and power plays. Chloe smiled, nodded, told carefully edited stories about how she and Nathan met. He introduced her as "my girlfriend Chloe" every time. She pretended it didn't make her stomach flip. At one point, the head investor's wife leaned in and asked, "And what do you love most about him?" Chloe didn't miss a beat. His silence. It's the most honest part of him. The table laughed. Rafik didn't. But he reached under the table and gently tapped her hand once. Not a grip. Not boy squeeze. Wristed up. The sig. I heard that. After the dinner, they rode the elevator to the penthouse in silence. Chloe leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "I didn't know you got jealous," she said finally. Nathan looked at her. "I didn't know I would." He smiled, but it was sad. "Feelings are not in the agreement." "No," he said softly. They weren't. The elevator chimed. They stepped into the apartment. Chloe started toward her room. Then paused. You turned around. "I like you, Nathan," she said, "even when you're difficult. Even when you don't know how to say things." He stood still. "I just don't want to fall for something that isn't real." He met her gaze, and for a second she thought he might say it, might reach out, might close the space. But instead he whispered, "Good night, Chloe." He nodded once. Good night. But later that night, Nathan opened the drawer where he kept her first sticky note, the one that said, "Don't forget to remember." He read it again, like it held instructions for what to do now. And across the hall, Chloe stared at her ceiling, wide awake. It followed every rule, except the one that mattered most. Don't fall in love. Chapter 8. The kiss that broke the script. It started like any other Tuesday. Except Chloe's heartbeat had been off since dawn. She moved through the morning routine like muscle memory. Coffee, schedule updates, dodging Amanda's eye rolls. But something about the air between her and Nathan felt warped, as if the boundaries had stretched too far, and now neither of them knew where the safe edges were. At 2:27 p.m. she placed his coffee on the desk without a word. No witty remark, no post-it joke. Yanakin glanced up. He nodded, "Of course." He walked away before she could say something foolish. Like I miss when this was just pretend, because now I don't know what it is. That night, Chloe stayed late, curled over a presentation draft on the conference table. Nathan stepped out of his office around 8:40, tie undone, sleeves rolled, looking like a man caught between too many thoughts. "You're still here," he said. She didn't look up. "Someone has to double-check the financial pitch. I added a whole slide on not scaring investors with your signature." He almost smiled. "It's not that bad." It looks like a cardiogram from a man in denial. He came closer, leaned on the table, and studied her carefully. "You okay?" He paused. "Define okay." Nathan exhaled. "You've been quiet." "I didn't think quiet bothered you." "It doesn't. It just doesn't suit." She glanced up. Their eyes met. The tension had built slowly over weeks, layer by layer. One couch conversation, one lingering stare, one sentence that meant too much. And now it sat between them like a question no one dared ask. Nathan broke the silence first. "My grandmother called again. Let me guess, baby names and table settings. She asked if I was in love." Chloe blinked. "What did you say?" He hesitated. "I didn't know." That hurt more than it should have. Chloe stood, pacing to the window, arms crossed. "We're in too deep, Nathan." "I know. I can't tell what's part of the story and what's just, you know." She turned around. "And that's the problem, isn't it? We started this thinking we were pretending, but I'm not sure we are anymore." Nathan walked toward her. "Chloe." He held up a hand. "Please, don't say anything unless it's real." His jaw tightened. He was quiet. Then he whispered, "I think about you, even when I don't want to." Chloe frowned. Nathan stepped closer. "I remember your laugh in the elevator, the way you whisper to printers, the post-it notes, the coffee at 2:27 52nd out." She felt her breath catch. "I didn't want to feel anything," he said. "I wanted control, and silence, and structure. But then you showed up, with noise and color and ridiculous sticky notes, and I can't go back to before." A pause. Then softer, "I don't want to." Chloe whispered, "So what now?" Nathan looked at her. "And the kid got not planned, not perfect, just honest." Her hand reached for his shirt, fingers curled slightly in disbelief, and his palm rested gently on her back like he didn't want to startle the moment. When they pulled apart, Chloe's eyes were closed for a beat longer than she meant. He opened them slowly. "That was not in the script," she said. Nathan gave a small, tired smile. "No, but it felt like it should be." They sat on the couch again, this time closer. No more staged distance, no fake lines rehearsed. "I'm scared," Chloe admitted quietly. "Me too," Nathan said, "but I'm more scared of walking away from something that finally feels real." He leaned her head against his shoulder. "So what does this mean?" He took a breath. "It means we stop pretending." A silence passed. Young Chloe smiled. "Okay, but just so you know, if your grandmother asks, I'm still saying it was the sugar packet." Nathan laughed. "She won't believe you." He already does. That night they didn't sleep on separate sides of the apartment. They stayed on the couch, in a quiet tangle of warmth and nerves, whispering stories into the early hours of morning. The kiss had broken the script. But maybe, just maybe, it had started something real. Chapter 9. This was never part of the plan. The next morning came with soft light and an even softer silence. Chloe woke first, still curled on the couch, one arm tucked under her cheek, the other resting across Nathan's chest. His breathing was slow, peaceful, and for a few fragile seconds she allowed herself to believe that this wasn't borrowed, that this wasn't temporary, that maybe he was hers. But when she shifted, Nathan stirred too. He blinked, looked at her, and something changed in his eyes. Something pulled back. He sat up, gently untangling himself. Chloe nodded. "Yeah, sure." The couch felt colder the moment he moved. He barely spoke that morning. He read the paper like it was a shield. She made coffee like she was performing a task in a museum. Delicate, careful, out of place. The kiss lingered between them like an echo no one wanted to admit they heard. Finally, Chloe set her mug down and said, "About last night." Nathan didn't look up. He tried again. "We said no pretending." Now he looked at her, but his eyes weren't soft anymore. They were guarded. "Chloe, maybe we moved too fast." He blinked. He stood as if movement could protect him. "We blurred the lines, and it's a pause. For both of us." He folded her arms. "You kissed me, Nathan." "I know. And you meant it." He hesitated. It was real in the moment. "In the moment," she repeated quietly. Nathan ran a hand through his hair. "Chloe, I can't afford to lose control like that. And he can't afford to be someone's temporary escape." Her voice cracked. "I need to know what this is, what we are, because I can't keep pretending now that it finally feels real." Nathan looked torn, like something inside him wanted to reach for her, but didn't know how. "I didn't mean to hurt you." He nodded slowly. "But you still did." That afternoon she packed her things. The purple suitcase, the old pillow, the cookie jar from her aunt. She left the apartment quietly. No drama, no slammed doors, just the sound of a zipper and the truth. On the kitchen counter she left a single envelope. Inside, a note. It was a good lie, so good I believed it. "Take care of her, and of yourself." Nathan found it that evening. He sat at the kitchen island for a long time, just holding the note. The coffee pot was still warm, her mug was still in the sink. But she was gone. Days passed. At work, Chloe transitioned to remote. Eduardo stopped by Chloe's desk once, found it empty and left a small pack of rainbow paperclips in her drawer. Nathan's office stayed quiet. His routines remained unchanged. Except they weren't. He'd check his phone more often. He paused when he walked past her empty desk. He left her post-it note drawer untouched. And every night he reread her goodbye note, like it contained coordinates back to her. On Friday his grandmother called. "Who's Chloe?" Nathan hesitated. She left silence on the other end. "You sound like a quarterly report," Dolores finally said. "Numbers, no feeling." He would, "I don't know what to say." And say what he didn't. He was getting too close. Too close to what? For me. Dolobacha scolded. She sighed. "Nathan, she looked alive when she was with you. And you looked human." Nathan closed his eyes. "Don't wait too long," Dolores said. "Pride is a terrible companion." That night, Nathan sat on the couch where they'd first kissed. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It was punishment. And for the first time in his life, he realized it wasn't part of the but maybe it should have been. Chapter 10, Locked In with the Truth. It began with a text. From Grandma Dolores. "Not feeling well. Can you and Chloe come? It's serious." Nathan's stomach dropped. No emojis, no flair. Just that. He canceled his meetings, called his driver, and headed across the city. He hadn't spoken to Chloe in 10 days, and yet when he pulled up in front of Dolores's house, a familiar figure stood at the gate. Wowie. Holding a tote bag, eyes cautious, heart unreadable. "You got the message too?" she asked, voice quiet. He nodded. "Yeah." Neither said more. Dolores met them at the door, wrapped in a soft blanket and holding a cup of tea. "You came," she said, voice too light for someone allegedly ill. "What's wrong?" Nathan asked. Dolores smiled. "Oh, I've been having feelings. Strange ones. The kind that tell me something's not right." Nathan frowned. "You said it was serious." "It is," she replied. "Loneliness is serious." Chloe looked at her. "You called us both here for that." Dolores sipped her tea. "You two used to make this house feel alive. Now it's just tea and echoes." Before either could respond, Dolores added, "Something in the back room I need help with. Can you two check it?" Nathan and Chloe exchanged a wary glance, but followed her instructions. Inside the guest bedroom, the lamp was already on, cozy, untouched. Nathan scanned the room. "What are we supposed to be looking for?" Chloe checked the closet. The door slammed shut behind them. They lunged for the handle. It didn't budge. "Grandma?" he called. Her voice came from the other side, far too cheerful. "Oh dear, looks like the lock jammed. The locksmith will be here." Chloe blinked. "She locked us in?" Nathan sighed. "He locked us in." Outside, they heard Dolores humming softly as she walked away. They sat on opposite sides of the bed for a long time. "I'm gonna kill her," Chloe whispered. Nathan gave a dry smile. "Get in line." A beat of silence passed. Then Chloe said, "She just wants us to talk." Nathan looked down. "Yeah." Well, she added, "We're here." "I know." He exhaled. The words were heavier now. "Chloe, I didn't handle things well. I thought pushing you away would protect both of us." Guys, she didn't move, just looked at the nightstand, at the lavender-scented candle, at the embroidered pillow that read, "Speak kindly, even to yourself." Nathan's voice broke the silence. "I missed you." Chloe blinked. "Even when you were quiet, even when you were mad, I missed you in every version." Her voice was soft. "Then why didn't you say something?" "Because I've spent my life in control." And he looked at her. "You were the one thing I couldn't manage." He smiled, just a little. Nathan stood crossed to the edge of the bed, sat down beside her. "Everything I said about pretending, I meant the opposite. It stopped being fake a long time ago." Chloe whispered, "Chloe." He turned toward her. "Then let's stop punishing ourselves for something we both want." He looked at him fully now. "We begin again," he said, "but this time without contracts, without pretending, just us." A pause. Her eyes shimmered. "You're going to have to let go of control." He smiled. "Only if you promise to keep talking to the printers." She laughed, then added softly, She kissed him. Slow, certain, no panic, no pretense. Just real. Later that night, Nathan offered to sleep on the floor. "It's symbolic," he said. "My penance." "The carpet looks itchy," Chloe teased. "Just stay on your side of the pillow border." And they lay side by side, not touching, just close enough to feel safe again. Chloe turned toward him in the dark. "I missed you too." Nathan reached for her hand beneath the blanket. Fingers intertwined. And the silence was no longer lonely. At 7:02 a.m. Dolores knocked cheerfully. "Still alive in there?" Nathan groaned. "Barely." Chloe sat up and called back. "We made peace. You can let us out now." "Oh, the lock seems to be working again," Dolores said sweetly. "Isn't that a miracle?" They both laughed. And when Chloe turned to Nathan, he pulled her hand to his lips and kissed her fingertips gently. "You're not getting rid of me this time." "Good," she whispered, "because I wasn't pretending either." The right heart. 3 weeks had passed since the night Dolores accidentally locked them in a room. Chloe had officially moved back in. This time not with a suitcase, but with toothbrushes in both bathrooms, a favorite blanket on the couch, and her name written on the call box downstairs. The apartment had changed too. Music played during breakfast. Nathan cooked twice a week. The sticky notes? Still there, only now they came with kisses. One Tuesday morning found a blue envelope taped to the espresso machine. Inside, "Grucci. Dress nice. Meet me on the balcony. New." Confused but curious, she walked out at exactly 12:01. Nathan stood waiting. A small table had been set. White cloth, 2 mugs, a tiny vase of daisies. Photos were clipped to a string along the railing. Moments they'd lived. Her first day, their first fake dinner, the coffee at 2:27, the couch nap, even a grainy one of the two of them laughing during a storm. In the center of the table, a ring box. Chloe stopped in her tracks. Nathan stepped forward, took both her hands. When you walked into the wrong room, you reminded me how to laugh, how to listen, how to feel something again. Her eyes welled instantly. I thought I needed a plan, a structure, a controlled life, but what I needed was you. The mess, the honesty, the heartbeat. He dropped to one knee. Chloe Martins, will you be my wife? My favorite mistake, my only plan that ever truly made sense. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she nodded yes. 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring onto her finger, and when he stood, she wrapped her arms around him and kissed him. Because of a contract, because this time, it was hers. The wedding was simple. An outdoor garden surrounded by fairy lights, and people who knew how hard they had fought to get here. Dolores sat front row in a pink dress and sunglasses, fanning herself like a queen. Amanda wore a navy suit and even smiled once. Eduardo brought Chloe a coffee mug wrapped in gold ribbon. It read, "Still the world's okayest assistant." During the vows, Chloe laughed and cried all at once. "I never planned for you," she said to Nathan, voice trembling, "but I think some things are too important to plan. They just find you, like a room you weren't supposed to enter." Nathan took her hand. "You were the one thing I never scheduled, but I'm never letting you go." When they kissed, the crowd cheered. And Dolores whispered to Amanda, "Told you, you just have to lock the door sometime." That night, Chloe and Nathan stood beneath the stars, hands clasped, watching the lights fade one by one. "You happy?" he asked softly. He looked up at him. "More than I ever thought I could be." "Still scared?" Nathi nodded. He nodded. Good too. Means we're doing something real." He smiled. "Let's keep doing it then." And they kiss again. Not because of a story, but because they had finally stopped pretending. Some love stories don't begin with candlelight or destiny. Some start with a coffee stain on a resume, a misread sign on a glass door, and a quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, this mistake might lead you home. Because sometimes, the wrong room holds the right heart. And all you have to do is walk in.